A young boy is watching television by himself and starts making a video for fun. After a while, he needs to do something in another room, so he puts the phone down for just a minute and accidentally records this creeper at his window. Someone peeks through the window multiple times over the course of a minute. I think those might be metal bars on the windows, so maybe this area has been dealing with break-ins, in which case there was about to be another. Then again, this strange floating orb appears as soon as the figure disappears, so maybe this is some kind of paranormal intruder instead. Shadows can be tricky things. Sometimes they're natural, other times they lean more towards the paranormal. This one seems to be the latter. Posted on Reddit by user Ukire. The Redditor writes that he still has goosebumps after receiving this clip. Some in the comments admitted to being upset with yet another orb post, but then, after watching it all the way through, their yearning for nightmare fuel was rewarded. Although it just looks like the still image of a cell. Wait for it, and wait for it, and wait for it some more, and you just might be rewarded too. The Redditor wrote that his friend works the night shift here at this institution in a former police station. The room where this is filmed is not in current use, but in the past was a place where people checked out of custody. Some in the comments say the video looks legit, others pointed out a creepy long face that makes a split-second appearance. Most in the thread comes to a consensus that this happenstance is very creepy and goosebump-inducing. Could it be a haunting, or something worse? Whatever it might be, it's certainly mysterious. In a dark tunnel, no one can hear you scream, except for maybe the odd urban explorer wandering through that tunnel. Cringy Parkour published this footage in May of 2017 writing, "I heard like screeching or something in the tunnel and I want to go check it out. At first I thought it was like a pig or something. But what I record on the camera obviously was not a pig." The clip shows this YouTuber marching quickly through the dark tunnel ahead. There's water at the base of the tunnel, random graffiti on the walls, and it seems like it should be empty. What is this sound then? It doesn't sound like a scream. This creepy customer is dressed as the Joker in the middle of May. It looks like he is asking for directions or something, maybe for a bathroom, because the lady keeps pointing to somewhere else in the store. The fictional Joker would never waste his time on such a small score, but this one waits until her back is turned and makes a grab for the tip jar on the counter, which looks full. She comes back at the last second, and he just politely smiles to throw off any suspicions. When she leaves again, he looks around nervously at everywhere but the camera as he shoves the tip jar in his pocket and quickly ducks out. Something materializes before the group during the scary Ouija session. Published by Caçadores de Sombras in February of 2022, two of the paranormal crew are in the middle of a session when one of them seems beyond freaked out. In the middle of this session, they sense someone in the hallway or the next room. They go in search of the spirit but find nothing. As they continue the session, the planchette flies across the board. It's not long before the head nun makes her appearance. They all jump away. Then they find the Ouija board in flames. Throwing it over, they turn to the crew member behind which the nun appeared. He's completely out of it, like he's been knocked out. They carry their friend out, but they're uncertain if they're safe from the nun. This is the type of experience that would practically leave anyone scared shirtless. Don't let her in. Published in November of 2021 by Taja Fact. This CCTV footage is chilling. Two women are at work in a computer lab when one of them leaves. After a moment, the sliding door slams shut, scaring the young woman who is left alone. Alarmed, she turns in her seat towards the door but later returns to her work. Shortly after, the lights start flickering on and off in the hallway, and a creepy figure is standing in the doorway. It looks like a young woman in white, with her dark hair hanging over her face. When the woman is finally alerted to the figure figure's presence. She slowly gets up to go look, although we're left to wonder what happens next. Maybe we shouldn't find out. Something has crawled up this poor woman's leg and refuses to come out. Her friend almost has it by the tail, but then at the last second it does the unthinkable and burrows even deeper. The scared animal probably would have gone up way higher if she didn't stand up in time and let gravity force it back down. She is either trying not to scream or lose her lunch as her friend tries again, this time wrapping its tail around his index finger. He manages to extract a giant rat and quickly puts it back in its container. The rat looks used to being handled, and this is probably the only thing that kept it from trying to bite and scratch its way out. This is some serious EMF gone wrong. Published by Dark Life in March of 2022, Dennis held an EMF session in the basement of this old house in which girls are said to have gone missing. After spending some time in the basement, he hears something in the wardrobe. As he reaches toward it, the wardrobe starts to rock aggressively. Dennis runs from it, and in doing so appears to hurt his leg amongst all the rubbish in the basement. He looks back for a moment but decides it's best to leave the house. And after seeing this shell of a haunted home, wouldn't you? A pair of coworkers grab an elevator together and go up. Notice how the CCTV footage warps and bends almost as soon as they get in. Electronic equipment is often thought to malfunction when the paranormal is near, and this incident seems to have no exception. They hold a brief conversation and both exit. Behind them is a hunched over creature that could possibly be the spirit of an older person. The slow-moving monster seems to have a smooth head and an oddly shaped bent-over body. Neither coworker notices it instantly materialize and slowly shuffle forward. The quality of the video itself looks like it was really taken from just another day at the office, and there's no editing as far as I can tell, but at the same time, I'm just not sure if this is real or not, so I would like to get your opinion. When police officers stopped to assist a car that had broken down on the side of Southeast Loop 820 in Forest Hill, Texas, they probably weren't thinking this was a super risky call, but they'd be wrong, as the 3 police officers and 2 motorists awaited a tow truck, lights flashing. A vehicle sped at top speed towards them, completely out of control, and they nearly didn't notice until it was too late. You can see in the video that the group is oblivious to what is about to happen until one officer spots the vehicle flying in their direction, just in time to throw the group out of harm's way. The car sideswiped one police car, slammed head-on into another, and barely avoided the broken down vehicle and all the people milling around on the shoulder. After plowing through, the rogue vehicle ricocheted back into traffic, but then returned to the roadside, where it screeched to a halt. When the car stopped, police hurried to remove the driver. Unsurprisingly, 26-year-old motorist Cedric Keith Henson Jr. had been drinking and was detained at the scene. Although no one was hurt, they very well could have been. If you find yourself being chased while in an abandoned building, the best step is to leave. Instead, this man found himself stalked into a corner. Published in November of 2021 by Paranormal My, demons instantly make their presence known in this creepy abandoned building. As the cameraman is gazing up at the multi-storied complex, glass is heard breaking off to the side. He goes to investigate but finds nothing. In the stairwell, another loud noise is heard up above. It's not clear where the noises are coming from, but it certainly makes the neon green lit stairwell even more ominous. As the night grows darker, something throws a bunch of torn up sheets from an upper floor. A creepy being dressed in white and with bleach white hair is seen above. It peers down at the cameraman for a moment but then pulls out of view. Who knows what this entity's intentions may be? Later, while in another dark stairwell, footsteps are heard down below ascending. The cameraman captures a shot of the lower floors, and a scary obscure shadow can be seen on the landings below, making its way upwards. The footsteps become louder and more rapid, giving everyone, except apparently the cameraman, the ultimate chills as our hearts beat faster and faster. At last, there's a shot of the culprit. It looks like a man without a shirt, wearing white pants. He's holding a flashlight, though likely not paranormal. There's something even creepier about the scary stalker, because as we all know, running into a stranger can end up much worse than running into a ghost. This clip reveals an underground entrance in Saudi Arabia. It was originally posted to YouTube by Bismax TV in August of 2019. According to the video description, the underground is claimed to be haunted. It certainly sounds like it. Terrifying screams are heard coming from the depths of what looks like a bunker, or maybe even a well. There's a ladder leading down into a hole deep within the earth. The sacred text is being read, while screeching continues in the background. As the tormented screams continue, so does the sacred text reading. But what we don't know is why, and what is going on in this underground bunker. Some in the comments say this is one of the scariest things they've ever heard. Others say it's definitely not fake, and the latter perhaps leads to a secret torment chamber. YouTuber Psychic Afro Dancer offers up two interesting theories. One suggests that it's a red fox in heat. If you've ever heard audio from any animal in heat, you might consider this a valid theory. But the second theory is more appealing to those of us with paranormal leanings. It involves the belief in jinn. Jinn are spirits, demons, or supernatural creatures that appear in Islamic mythology and theology. Jinn are creatures similar to humans, thus they are neither inherently evil or inherently good, and the word jinn is derived from the terms to conceal or to hide. You can see it's not a stretch that some suggest jinn means beings that are concealed from the senses. It's believed that jinn originated as animal shape-shifting malevolent spirits found in unclean places, deserts, and dingy, dark, desolate locations. Those who believe often try to protect themselves from jinn. Could this be jinn, unredeemed, tormented in a scary hole? All I know is I wouldn't be going down there to check. Muna Bruzan bought this strange and creepy doll at an antique sale after she felt its eyes watching her. Now the doll apparently continues to do so as their connection grows stronger over time. Here you can see her pick up the doll to admire her. When the doll apparently comes to life, you can hear Muna cry out in surprise as the doll turns towards her and flutters its eyes. I have no idea how this could have happened, since both of her hands are nowhere near the doll's head when it turns to face her. When she puts the doll back down, it seems to understand that she is done playing and thoughtfully turns its gaze outside the window. A YouTuber named Austin Shippey is using the Ouija board with a friend. They apparently make contact, but it's not necessarily the spirit's answers that make this video haunting, but rather the strange sounds that kept coming from the background. It seems like every time they ask a question, something weird happens in the background.
Hey.
Perhaps the weirdest moment of all comes at the very end of the video, when they are ready to leave.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Goodbye.
There is no reason for the pointer to squeak like that. They are on a smooth surface and are not pushing down hard at all. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a humanoid figure in the sky. Posted by L. Nelson, Gonering in October of 2017. This mysterious humanoid was caught flying or floating over Sydney, Australia. The sighting lasted all of 5 minutes, with this figure disappearing and reappearing as the camera zooms in and out. What do you think this is? Is it explainable, or could it be something not of this world? I've seen similar videos in the past, and they have never been explained either. Could this possibly be connected? I just know I'd question everything if I looked out my window and saw a floating human in the sky. Everyone knows you must drive defensively when you're on a motorcycle. After all, there's nothing between you and the pavement, except whatever you're wearing, and a helmet. But sometimes, no matter how defensively you drive, You learn how little others value your life. Delta 394 learned that in July of 2017, when he published a video of his encounter with a crazy driver. In the video description, he explained, "Guy in the blue Fiat Panda tries running into me while cutting across lanes. I wasn't having any of it, decided I would confront him in the supermarket car park, and he did confront the man, all of which was caught on camera."
Do you know how to use lanes, you prick?
It's not you, you smashed my bloody thing. Why don't you see where you're going?
Why don't you go in the right lane? I'm on the left.
In the right place.
The man claims the biker smashed his mirror, while the biker claims he almost ran him over. As it turns out, the Fiat driver didn't like how the biker was driving, frequently slowing down and speeding up again. The biker then questioned what was more important, the man's mirror or his life. Most in the comments section seem to agree that the Fiat man deserved every bit of that confrontation. Who is in the wrong here? What do you think? This rare Russian creature is being called everything from a mole to a troll. The phone quality is too poor to make out much more than a tiny humanoid hand and a small face. Whatever this is, it doesn't behave much like a mole, which I doubt would stay above ground with two humans so close. Anyway, try to translate this conversation if you can, and let me know if they ever say what kind of creature this is.
Quantos saíram? Só Aí pra trás tem mais quantos? Cela 4 e a ala.
Bora, bota a cara pra cima aí.
At the 15-second mark, you can see its hand more clearly, and it does look like it could have a well-developed thumb, which would exclude it from belonging to most species. With that said, I think it could perhaps be a baby possum, which do have opposable thumbs and sometimes like to burrow underground. I could be wrong though, and even after almost 100,000 views, nobody seems to have come up with a concrete answer. YouTuber Hidden Treasures recently moved into a new home. Little did he know what he'd find inside. He leads viewers down a hallway to a dark closet, and behind a lower shelf, there's a panel. The YouTuber says that when he pulled it back, you can kind of see some stairs. Then he leads viewers into the room next door, where there's an adjacent closet. He recalls how he went in there to investigate where the stairs led, but there's just a regular closet in this room, 3 walls and a ceiling. He said he brushed it off and continued to unpack his house. He went to put some Christmas stuff in the attic. This is where it gets interesting, he said. Once he got up to the attic, he decided to investigate if those stairs led somewhere, and in fact they did. They led to a secret room. After tearing a wall down, this YouTuber found a whole other room in the otherwise unfinished attic. This room had wallpaper, electricity, short ceilings, a closet area, a sliding door, and a mirror on the wall. He filmed the staircase from the other side, allowing viewers to see that whoever hid this room simply framed the wall in to block the staircase and access to the secret room. This is only a 1-story house, he says. You can't tell from outside that this is up here. So the question is, why was this room hidden? What was the previous owner trying to keep secret? Or who? Mysterious lights keep showing up outside this man's residence in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Eduardo Ferreira captured the intriguing recurring lights of potential unidentified flying objects, which he published in both August and November of 2021. The August footage shows a bright white light drifting in the night sky. A close-up shows that it appears to be multicolored and twinkling. The light then flies quickly across the skies, vibrant against the dark clouds above. It drifts overhead until the view is blocked by an adjacent building. The second video, filmed in November, shows a series of bright blue twinkling lights, the same size as the first. They float in front of another adjacent building, just drifting there, but not moving in any pattern or course, as the previous light did. So after seeing both clips, what do you think? To what do these lights belong? Is there a logical explanation? Or are these lights cause for extraterrestrial concern, given the fact that Edward has caught it twice on camera already? I doubt it will be the last time he sees this. While at the Miami Air and Sea Show, David Sugarman spotted something unusual while reviewing his videos. Watch closely and you'll see a vertical object fly up in front of the plane. David says he filmed the video in slow motion, so whatever this object is, it's moving fast. Let's see it again. While some Twitter users think this could be a drone, David says there were no drones allowed because of the air show. Most agree that it does appear to come out of the water, and it looks that way to me as well. It's definitely a UFO in that it's an unidentified flying object, but is it that kind of UFO? You know, the kind we all want it to be. I'm stumped on this one. While walking down an empty street at night, this man encountered not one, but 3 witches. Posted to the very spooky video subreddit by Enrique Glue. He hears them before he sees them. The witches are making these horror movie noises that are creepy in and of themselves. As he walks, he spies this figure off to his right. He then makes a run for it, but their scary wails follow him. Next, he spies this figure to the left. He continues running as the screaming gets crazier. And lastly, another figure in white coming from this alleyway to the right. Many in the comments think the noise sounds like cats or an upset husky. Others say this is obviously the call for the witch meeting. What do you think is happening here? I can't imagine it's anything good. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit. The Redditor writes that this is the most terrified he's ever been. The scary footage shows an attic of an abandoned house under night vision. At the beginning of the clip, Connor hears a strange noise. He looks around a little and, from upstairs, captures something in the window on the ground floor. It's glowing. He decides to go investigate. Down at the window in question, there's absolutely nothing there. Nobody, no light. Next, he uses a spirit box to speak with whomever is in the home. Someone asks him to help and let him out. Another voice says to please leave. Admitting this gave him chills. Connor says this is probably the last time he'll return here. As he's walking into an adjacent room, a board is flung at him. He stops in his tracks and turns around to look around him. Nothing is there. In the comments, Connor explains, it was a rock or a brick that barely missed. It flew past the right side of my head. That's why I'm never going back there, because I feel like I could have passed away. No kidding, there's something evil in this house, and it wants you to leave. You'd best listen. Seeing an object move in an abandoned haunted house may be a sign that you're not alone. Published to YouTube by Mo Sargi in April of 2020. The channel captured paranormal activity in a haunted house at 3 a.m. The haunted house in question is unsettling. Sitting deep in the forest, the wallpaper is peeling from the walls, and the state of things is decrepit. While taking all this in, Mo explains that this isn't their first visit here. He explains all they've already experienced in this haunted place, and they're about to be faced with even more. At around 4 minutes 40 seconds, some in the comments point out a figure moving in the far doorway. Later, at around 7 minutes 57 seconds, Mo and his partner hear a strange humming in the house.
Sounds like humming.
If that wasn't enough, as Mo speaks to the spirits around 16 minutes 40 seconds, the fan starts to move.
Is there anything here with us right now? Well, we do know you're here.
First clockwise, then counterclockwise. This is something that apparently occurred before. Mo explains that he has a sudden headache, which he's experienced previously at other extreme hotbeds of paranormal activity. Don't know about you, but I think it's time to close the case file on this haunted house. That is, if you want to play it safe.
Okay guys, some weird stuff has been happening in my room and I feel like I need to document this.
Safi B has a collection of haunted dolls that seem to have been moving on their own. She explains how no one can be going inside to move them because she keeps her door locked during the day, and after she's finished, she hears this noise.
I haven't told you guys this, but like lately I've been hearing my door rattle and it's like...
The movement is not coming from the door, but rather from somewhere deeper within the room, which she has clearly shown to be empty, except for her and her dolls, and soon she finds her answer.
No.
A solid black Ouija pointer falls off the shelf and lands. Franco TV is one of the few ghost hunters I've come across who isn't afraid to investigate solo. In fact, he prefers it. Charging into the middle of the action and staying put is his style. Rarely does he run. On September 7th, 2018, Franco TV goes to an abandoned house that's way out in the Florida forest. I can't tell you the exact location, but I can tell you the name, the Edison House. What's inside leaves him a sweat-soaked mess. The address is so secret that he had to track down some of the previous owners to find it, and since no one can stand living here for more than a few months, there were plenty of previous owners to choose from. It was accidentally built over a gravesite according to them, and that's all they will say because it's so cursed that just talking about it could possibly bring about years of misfortune. None of this concerns Franco enough to keep him from going inside. Through the condemned door is a trashed interior that fills the investigator with the type of dread that burns stronger with every step. Everything about it feels off and wrong in a way he can't explain. Past a crumbling kitchen is a small kid's room that feels colder than the rest of the house. And as he's reading but not adhering to the simple instructions on the wall,
get out.
He hears the giggle of a child. The laughter comes from behind him, practically in his ear, and he turns against a wall with a mysterious red stain that looks like it's squirted out of someone's neck. Across from him, this witch-like face appears against the window. It's most visible at approximately 3 minutes and 12 seconds, eyes and all. Undeterred, he goes to where it was standing and looks inside the room he was just in. As he's doing this, the same face now regards him through a crack in the doorway at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. It doesn't look like it's part of the door, but I guess it could be. The upstairs is cramped and uncomfortably hot. Down the hall is a red handprint that could belong to a child, except it's too high up on the wall. Perhaps they were struggling with someone trying not to be carried into this room. As Franco stares into the room, dozens of comments point out this figure staring back out at him from within the closet, just like the far wall says. I couldn't really see anything at first, but when I did, I suddenly wished I didn't try so hard. Something's there. Franco doesn't spend much time in this room because he gets an especially bad feeling, but one thing I noticed was this jet black spirit orb float up towards him and disappear. That's not a bug. The anxiety he gets from the second floor is a little too much, even for him, and look what happens when he goes back downstairs.
I'm hearing all sorts of noises everywhere and I don't have no cover at all, and I'm in the middle of the forest. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why it's going to be a little bit weird for me, because I can't deal with that.
This just so happens to be one of the only times he films behind him, so maybe this part is set up. Anyway, this was back when a supernatural challenge called Charlie Charlie was popular, and so he decides to play around before calling it quits. He sets up 2 pencils and waits for the ghost to respond.
Is there anyone in this house right now? Is there anyone that's
I don't know about you, but I see no string.
Do you wish me to leave this area?
A closer look under the light at 9 minutes and 17 seconds shows that nothing is tied around the pencil at all. He follows its advice and goes outside. By now, Franco is soaked in sweat and still hearing movements that I don't think he's making up because they sound too far away, deeper in the forest.
And from there, I'm gonna head home. After that, I'm done. I gotta get out of here.
Part of him wants to leave, but he knows he has to explore the surrounding property because it's where more spirits roam around their unmarked graves. While staring out into the wilderness, he hears them.
What the is that?
It's not traffic because there's no roads out here, and exactly 2 seconds later it's accompanied by a voice warning him never to return.
Holy crap.
Advice that Franco TV decides to take as he walks away from the Edison house with the blank, horrified stare of a man who has been shown far too much. This Uber passenger looks like a relatively regular person at first, until he reveals a rather unsettling tendency.
Oh! God.
He reaches to his face and gently presses both eyes out of the socket. The right eye protrudes way more than the left and looks ready to burst and roll down his cheek at any moment. I can't imagine that doing this would be good for your eyes at all, and I hope he doesn't cause long-term health problems. But for now, he has definitely succeeded in creating a video to creep out you and me both. This man approaches a home, stands in place for 10 seconds without ringing or knocking, and then decides to rip the doorbell cam straight out of the wall for good measure. Notice how he pulls up his sleeves over his hands before doing so. Obviously, he is worried about leaving fingerprints, so he probably does stuff like this all of the time. My guess is that he wanted to get into the house when he noticed the doorbell cam and got scared. He probably thought that by taking the doorbell cam, he would get rid of any evidence that he was ever there, completely unaware that a live video gets sent straight to the person's phone automatically. This video was posted in November of 2018. So far, he has not been caught, but since the doorbell cams have a serial number, he can't resell it easily without getting busted. According to SS3 Paranormal, a number of people in their house have woken up to others' arms and legs being held up in the air while they're sleeping. They've all paid witness to this, and now it's been captured on security camera. Let's watch. The arm does appear to be held up by some unseen force. It doesn't look natural. Well, this could just be an awkward nighttime spasm. If we trust the uploader's original statement, this has happened to many in the home, which makes me think it's not pure coincidence. What do you think is going on here? A man named John Crawford casually walks around a Walmart in Beaver Creek, Ohio, well armed. Here you can see him standing in an aisle on the right side of the screen.
Gun in the store.
Is he got it pulled out?
Yeah, he's like pointing at people.
What does he look like?
The 911 caller grows more nervous with each passing moment and tells the operator that the situation is growing dire.
I don't know what he's just like looking around, waving it. He looks like he's just trying to load it.
He's just trying to load it?
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Soon a family of 3 walks down the same aisle as John Crawford and starts checking out some animals for sale. This is where the 911 call gets kind of strange.
My name is Ronald Ritchie. He just pointed at like 2 children.
Okay.
Watch the video again and you'll see that John never really aims at the kids. In fact, the family barely reacts to his presence, and I'm not sure if they even notice him at all. One of them hangs around a bit longer before leaving, so I wouldn't say they were exactly in distress, but the way the 911 caller describes the man and his actions understandably has the police on edge. An officer arrives on the scene expecting trouble, and a brief altercation ensues. The surprised suspect is laid to rest on the spot after police thought he was going to attack. As it turns out, John Crawford was simply buying an airsoft at Walmart on that day. The person who called 911 did not get in any trouble, but many now agree he was overreacting. Let me know if you would have called the police based on what you've seen on this CCTV video. A Russian YouTuber named Phantom claims to have met a ghost at an abandoned house that's full of, quote, many terrible and mysterious legends. Maybe this sign will tell us more about its history if someone can translate it. All I can make out is the year 1910 at the very bottom. In the middle of a rock floor, he finds candles unlit, strewn in a circle. The scene gives him an eerie feeling and he doesn't want to stay here for long, for fear of whoever left them here returning to find him. He thinks the legends probably are not real, and that whoever set these candles was just trying to scare paranormal explorers like him. He decides to come back even later at night to make sure the legends of paranormal activity really are just a myth. As he creeps back to the house, he's surprised to find the candles are now lit, and his horrors have just begun. Standing in the middle of the circle is a mysterious tall figure wearing robes, and seemingly not even noticing Phantom is at the window. So deep is its concentration, it's locked in a dark meditation of some sort that he cannot break. Phantom no longer cares about getting the best paranormal evidence ever caught on camera, and goes running into the woods for his life. The woods have grown colder, more forbidding, as he hides between a tree and wait, too afraid to turn his light off even though he knows he's being followed. The mysterious figure is on him in an instant, and as it heads his way without taking any steps, he gets to see its smirking face under the cloak. I think this video is probably not real, because it looks like he uses a filter to stimulate his equipment messing up, and also because if it was real, then I don't know how he could have survived. Built in 1832, the Patrick Taylor Cottage is the most haunted and oldest house in Western Australia. Poltergeist activity has been reported every September, and some claim to have seen an apparition in military uniform with an arm sling. Many think the apparition is Major Frederick Ingoldsby, a former tenant who passed away in the home in September of 1942. But why does he still haunt the place? Published by Amy's Crypt in January of 2022, Amy went to find out after the Albany Historical Society allowed her in after hours to investigate. The first activity is subtle, a light tap and a slight boom to see if these investigators are awake.
I heard that also.
Yeah, I just heard a little tap in here. To anyone around this device?
After warming up their paranormal devices, a clock chiming sound is heard through the device.
That sounded like a clock.
It did it not?
Yeah.
There is a grandfather clock in the room. When they ask about the clock, they hear a light tap again.
I want to know about this clock.
Ooh, I heard that. That definitely came from in that room, huh?
They also hear footsteps and a knock.
I hear footsteps. I did hear a knock in there.
Although the sounds are always distant, like the spirit is avoiding them. Where is this reticent spirit? Is the Major trying to make his presence known while keeping these intruders at arm's length? A ghost boy, known as a Pukong in Indonesian, was captured on film in this cemetery. Posted by Antarija, a cameraman is wandering a cemetery at night when he turns to spot this figure. The figure is standing wrapped like a mummy. The distorted face is barely discernible, and the cameraman quickly turns and flees into the darkness. He keeps turning back, and somehow the figure is closer and closer. Its horrifying face is what nightmares are made of. It's not clear if the thing is chasing him, but it does seem to be on his tail. Did he make it out alive? Or are one of these graves for him? Let's hope not. After experiencing a slew of paranormal activity at the Randolph County Asylum in Winchester, Indiana, Billy Gerber, a custodian, began recording every shift. One day he is sweeping the basement when this noise fills the room. Do you believe him after watching this? Also, check out how a shadow passes directly over him as soon as the voice says "help me." It's there for a split second, then gone. Have you ever seen something that actually wasn't there? What if you found out later that what you were seeing was real? Published by Wawa in January of 2022, she says she got home, had partaken in some herbs, and later that night took these videos. This is what she captured. In one video, a shadow peers out from behind a door in the hallway. It looks like a face peeking around from the upper corner. She writes that she was snapping videos to her friends and eventually looked up and caught this head from behind a door in her closet. Thinking she was just tripping, she filmed 2 more videos. When she watched the videos back in the morning, sober, she was even more disturbed by what she captured. The clearer video truly does look like a head peeking out from the doorway, but several photos show there's nothing there or behind the door that would cast that shadow or poke out in any way. Obviously, this was not a hallucination, but what could it be? Hungry for a midnight snack? This video will get you over your nighttime hunger. Published to YouTube in August of 2020, Paranormal Nightmares explains, my husband got up to grab a bowl of cereal, and we had the security cam recording in our kitchen because earlier in the day a cupboard opened on its own. We decided to record overnight, but this happened and it scared him. In the video, the dude is nonchalantly making himself a bowl of cereal as mentioned, but when he goes to grab the milk from the fridge, the cereal box moves clear across the counter on its own. Surprised, the man brushes it off, but as he pours his milk, the box moves slightly, and when he returns to the fridge, it slides clear across the counter again, finally falling to the floor. Needless to say, this guy takes this as his cue to book it out of the kitchen. Many YouTubers advise this poor haunted couple to move, while others are more worried about whether or not the guy eventually got his cereal, because you know, priorities. This poltergeist is not at all timid. Published by JCG Dragon in August of 2019, this scary video was filmed in a haunted home in Argentina. The video shows a bedroom door slamming as hard as it can. The cameraman approaches the door, opens it, and in the opposite room, captures objects being thrown on the floor. Assumedly by the same poltergeist, the cameraman enters the room crying in fear. When he turns the corner, there is nothing there, but slamming is heard again.
Ay, a la concha de la lora.
And he turns to find the door from the other room has slammed shut again. And what's worse, the power goes out. It sounds like the camera is dropped to the floor.
Ay, no. Ay, no.
What havoc will now ensue in the darkness? As the video ends there, it's left up to our imaginations. But judging from how these events are playing out, I can't think it's anything good. With the increase in home security systems, people are able to capture the most bizarre moments on what would seem to be another ordinary day. User Prometheus6EQUJ5 made a post to the r/paranormal subreddit detailing an incident that happened to him and his daughter on Thanksgiving 2020. The two of them were in the kitchen preparing for dinner late at night when a brief moment drew their attention away from the task. Without explanation, an empty bottle on a counter a few feet behind them inexplicably tips over. No one else was nearby at the time, and no movement was picked up by the camera's recognition software. On closer inspection, the bottle topples over as if it were aggressively pushed or flicked with a finger. Both father and daughter notice it, then pause in contemplation over what happened. In the Reddit post, Prometheus explains this was the first such instance that happened, and neither him nor his wife had any relatives pass away around that time. He has made several edits to update people on the situation, which provides a backstory to the events. He explains the house is over 70 years old with various owners prior to him. He says things got strange after he heard noises coming from the attic and decided to investigate. There he found an old rocking chair made for a toddler, as well as most who had owned it in the past 20 years, and all claimed to have not owned the rocking chair. He says strange occurrences started only after he moved the rocking chair into the storm shelter. There are various incidents of spirits becoming attached to objects they held dearly to them in life. Often, moving or tossing such objects can cause distress, usually the catalyst for paranormal activity. Considering the size of the chair and the minor events which transpired, it is possible the spirit could be that of a child, harmless and only causing a mild disturbance. However, with what little information we have so far, it is difficult to tell as a result of the positive response from viewers and the number of views it has garnered. Prometheus is considering live streaming the chair for an entire night. So far, this has not happened, but we certainly hope he does in the hopes of further documenting the strange happenings in his home and whether or not it is related to the chair. If you have a fear of heights, you might want to step away slowly from the edge of this video. El Camino del Rey, or the King's Little Path, is a high walkway in Spain that traverses a narrow gorge in El Charro near Malaga. Originally built to allow workers at a nearby hydroelectric power plant to transport materials, the walkway was first constructed at the turn of the 20th century. 3 feet in width and 330 feet above the river below, the walkway twists and turns around the steep walls of the gorge in a way that will make your head spin. It has been partially closed for more than 10 years after it fell into disrepair. In fact, it was once called the world's most dangerous walkway, as 5 passings occurred. Across only 2 years, renovations allowed the walkway to be reopened in 2015. Going back to the original, by 2006, much of the path had deteriorated. Several sections of the original concrete had completely collapsed, leaving large open gaps only traversable by the steel beams. The handrails were pretty much non-existent, with only a safety wire in its stead. Regardless, Daredevil still walked the King's Path, and passings occurred regularly. Published in March of 2011 by AM, this video shows what it was like to walk the King's Path when it was in disrepair. The crumbling concrete stairs are guarded only by a short length of handrail. As the hiker makes his way upward, you can see the drop below is no joke. A single misplaced step can throw you hundreds of feet to your demise. Despite the risk, you can see why people put themselves in harm's way. The solitude surrounded by the glittering river below and the jagged rocks of the gorge is an experience worth having, not to mention the adrenaline rush of being a misstep away from passing on. Still, if your heart is pounding just by watching this video, I wouldn't recommend it. I certainly wouldn't do it either. A man named Dubai7 talks to himself while returning to the home he was chased out of to get some supplies. He is trying to grab this container when he is found and cornered. The door slams behind him and he runs away. As he is looking into the room he just escaped from, a different door slams shut. And no one is inside the room when he checks. On his way out, he sees what I assume is his old cat watching him. The poor animal is too afraid to come near. It jumps away moments before something unseen chases him out the door. Now outside, he looks over just in time to see the window shutters open and close by themselves way too deliberately to be caused by the wind. A creepy stranger in a crazy mood is apparently trying her best to freak out the owner of this doorbell camera. With all the weird things she's caught on tape doing, she walks towards the doorbell camera while making a face, and she turns around when she sees the headlights of an oncoming car. Clearly aware that she's doing something wrong and afraid of getting caught, she steps away as the car passes, but soon she's back at it again, this time chomping at the camera and then doing some weird movements with her arms. Maybe she's got the wrong house and thinks she knows the owner of this doorbell cam. Maybe she's trying to get their attention and wants to be let in. She doesn't necessarily look dangerous, but doesn't appear to be in her right mind and could probably change moods at any moment. So I don't blame the homeowner for not opening the door and seeing what she wanted. I doubt it was anything good. This video of urban exploration, published by Backyard Exploration in January 2015, is particularly eerie, because what's scarier than dark, damp tunnels and nowhere to turn? In the video description, Backyard Exploration writes, "As the city grew, much of the underworld was sealed and forgotten. We infiltrate the sewers in search for this lost history. Unlike many entries on this list, these guys mean business. They are decked out with gear, headlamps, ropes, and safety equipment for sewer exploration, and they will need it. The underground is a dangerous place, and if you're claustrophobic, the tight spaces might give you screaming anxiety. Even worse, if you're squeamish, you might want to sit this one out, as there's loads of wadding through raw sewage." The exploration shows the bricked underbelly of the sewage system, along with the sewer rats that scurry across the ground and up the walls. Water trickles down from above as the team continues to trapeze through the dark tunnels. The team crawls and climbs through narrow channels to make sure no stone is left unturned, and at one point they even walk waist deep in sewage water, which is sometimes calm, sometimes rushing. In some areas, there are massive amounts of cockroaches skittering across the ceiling of the tunnel. All in all, it's pretty much every phobia imaginable in one. As After Dark said in the comments, this is the stuff that nightmares are made of, this tunnel. But fortunately, this nightmare does come to an end. As the video concludes, they exit the sewage tunnel to breathe fresher air and see daylight again. Houses aren't the only stomping grounds for ghosts. Apparently, so are Walmarts. Posted by YouTuber Shabard, he notes that this little girl Walmart ghost was caught on surveillance camera in Oxnard, California. Shabard writes, "Walmart is haunted by the ghost of a 7 to 9-year-old Mexican-American girl. According to Shabard, night workers at Walmart claim to have felt cold spots and to have seen balls bouncing on their own. Others say they've seen the girl in a solid full apparition, while the ghost has appeared to some as a misty half-body apparition. Those who come across the ghost state that she smiles, giggles, and is often playful, but there's just one problem. According to the website Backpackerverse, the girl's eyes are disturbingly milky white, and from the mouth down, her whole body is covered in red liquid, apparently an appalling amount of it. The video purportedly captures this friendly ghost in semi-transparent form. She appears to be pursuing the closed section of Walmart. She can be seen for a split second before she vanishes out of view again. She isn't wearing her regular blue dress, but appears to be wearing some shorts and a t-shirt. She also does not seem to be covered in red, so who knows? Perhaps there is a second ghost haunting these hallowed grounds." At a once bustling market turned ghost town in China, this lone figure was captured on camera. Published by Paranormal Planet in February of 2020, the video shows a mysterious fog shadow moving into view. As Chinese lanterns hang all around, swaying with the wind, the figure moves across the walkway before it disappears from sight. The uploader writes, "This footage was spotted by the person responsible for monitoring the street cameras. Is this a ghost? Or has the Grim Reaper come for us all? According to this paranormal investigator, a genie cursed him in his own voice. Let's enter this haunted home. While speaking to the spirits of the place, he hears an EVP.
Buradaki varlık kendini belli etsin. Bir işaret versin. Buradaki yaşayan insanları kaçıran varlık kendini belli etsin.
When he walks into the kitchen, something disturbing happens. And then the spirit gets aggressive, but nothing is inside the room.
Bana bir işaret versin.
When he enters the bedroom, he sees it. But as he gets closer and closer, is this a magic trick? Well, it could be the genie himself performing a practical joke. I could also see how this could be faked, but then again, the knocking. Only a genie could disappear like this. This footage was taken in 2011. A man is wandering the woods in Pennsylvania when his flashlight chances upon one of the most popular humanoids of all time. The Sasquatch is devoid of pigment and doesn't put up much of a fight, instead taking off as soon as the flashlight beam hits its face. Notice not only how fast it runs, but also how silently it moves. Somehow it was able to watch the cameraman from less than 10 feet away and get away with hardly any noise. Lord British LP is standing on his porch as a big storm rips through his neighborhood. His internet is down, so he records a video about nothing in particular to help pass the time. That's when he temporarily goes blind. A bolt of lightning hits the street lamp in front of his house and fills his vision with whiteness. He runs cursing into his house to get away. It's easy to miss, so I circled the street lamp that was struck by lightning to give you a better look at just how close he came to being literal toast. Even ghosts get hungry. Published to YouTube in September of 2017, this spirit has got quite the appetite. While a pair films the inside of the shop, explaining in Spanish what was going on, a package of crisps fall from the shelf. As the woman filming approaches it, suddenly it shoots across the floor toward her. She and the dude quickly flee, and who can blame them? Maybe pranking the living really makes you work up an appetite. Smallmouth Crush is making a fishing video on the Potomac River near Washington, D.C. He's drifting by when further down the riverbank something strange catches his eye. A head is sticking out of the water, long black hair. Her back is to him. He looks at the head for a long time, unable to mentally process what he's seeing and not sure what to do. He gives the object a poke just to make sure it is what he fears. It has a face and it is exactly what he's afraid of. I think we are all thinking it's the same thing, especially from this distance. But when he pokes at it some more, an artificial neck joint pops free from the mud. This is a mannequin head, not a real one.
Dude, what is happening? Look at this thing. This is nasty.
Not finding a body is a relief, I suppose, but it also begs the question as to why anyone would take a blindfolded mannequin head out into the woods in the first place. I've heard of people simulating their demented desires onto mannequins before moving on to the real thing as part of their transformation into a full-blown psycho. There's a lot of creepy people out there, I guess. And to further prove my point, he looks up to find something even more sickening nearby.
Look at that freaky thing. I'm out of here.
It looks like somebody has been using this spot to do some pretty twisted fantasizing, and as he speeds away, I can't help but wonder what if that's not a doll? A YouTuber named Scaredy Cat thinks he saw a tall stranger rummaging around his property, so he goes into his house and grabs a phone to record with. He cautiously makes his way back to where he last spotted the intruder, and it isn't long before he finds him again. Actually, this time, it looks like Scaredy Cat is the one who is discovered instead of the other way around.
So I'm not sure. I'm going to try and capture it on tape now. Okay.
A humanoid creature appears to be staring directly at him while remaining completely motionless. Scaredy Cat goes running down the street screaming for his life. His reaction sounds pretty genuine, but I'm not sure if this was a real sighting or not. It almost looks like a mannequin that someone could have put out there as a joke. Maybe it could even be an impersonator running around pretending to be the real thing. It just doesn't seem to be the right height to be Slenderman, though some legends say that the creature can change its height at will. A father and son are bonding outdoors when they make a discovery in a puddle that's so bizarre they have to bring it home and make a video of what they've caught on camera.
So I kind of looked at the little creatures that were in there, and at my first glance they're round and have a tail just like a tadpole.
The mysterious creatures have a long tail and two eyes that are especially visible at 1 minute and 22 seconds. Baby horseshoe crabs were my guess, but when I googled a picture it looked different. So what do you think they are? 3 photos and videos were shared on Facebook in Indonesia, showcasing the same strange phenomenon in the sky, posted by Mr. Potek in November of 2019, with a video credited to Setiawan. The unidentified object was filmed in Aceh, backlit by a bright moon. This mysterious flying or floating object appears to just hang there at the side of the moon. The object isn't shaped like a flying saucer, but its origins are equally as mysterious, viewed at several different angles. I don't come any closer to recognizing what this object is. The local police were reportedly terrified by its appearance. Should they be? What do you think it is? There's something in this house, and they might be demons.
Hey! أعوذ بالله! أعوذ بالله!
The first one he captures on camera is pretty obvious, but he doesn't seem to see it. The second one is playing peekaboo.
Bismillah. Bismillah. Bismillah.
Hey!
And the last one.
أعوذ بالله!
Do you hear that roar? Well, I'm wondering what these creatures are. Most in the comments are chuffed at this dude's terrified scream. My vote is for demons, but it could be some other type of evil entity. Any ideas? When you visit a place that's notoriously haunted, don't expect to be disappointed. Posted to YouTube by Corndictive, the uploader writes of this clip, watch the very top window of the house. That flash didn't happen when we were taping this, and none of us know what it is. There were no cars out when this happened. The top window in question is that of the Glenmore Mansion. This clip necessitates a little background on this spooky place. As it turns out, many of the historical sites of Jefferson County, Tennessee are crazy haunted. Glenmore Mansion was built in 1799. It belonged to a family for a century and was later bought up by Mr. Milton Preston Jarnigan, who named the house after his first son who passed away as an infant. The home was in the Jarnigan family for a further century. Over the course of more than 2 centuries, passing in this old home were bound to occur, resulting in the haunting of these hallowed grounds. According to some legends, the house is like an Escher drawing in that the exterior windows are more in number than the interior windows. Others also suggest the home's height changes, although some say the mega mansion has 15 rooms across 5 stories, with other sites reporting there are 27 rooms. When the mansion falls dark, visitors claim there's a presence roaming around the home, but don't worry, the presence is benevolent. Some believe it to be the ghost of a local historian, Thomas Roach. When alive, Roach claimed that if ever a ghost was found there, it would be him. But one of the creepiest sightings happened outside the mansion altogether. A young girl is often seen walking along the estate's road at night in the darkness. From unexplained sounds to shadows in the mirrors, the mansion has had its fair share of ghastly ghosts. Tours of the home are routine, but once the lights are out and the house has been abandoned for the night, some say a light turns on in the attic. This Victorian gem of a house seems so perfectly cookie cutter that it's the perfect place for a haunting, and the unsettling nature of the home is confirmed by this video. The crew focuses in on an upstairs window where they see lights or a flash of white and something moving inside. Can you spot it? Whether you believe in ghosts or not, you probably wouldn't want to be in Glenmore Mansion when the lights turned on. Anatoly Slivka was actively taking lives in the Soviet Union between 64 and 85. During these 2 decades, he fantasized about and recreated an event that he'd witnessed when he was in his early 20s. He'd seen someone drive into a group of pedestrians and take one of their lives, a teenage boy wearing a young pioneer's uniform. Thereafter, he sought out boys to recreate the scene. This was easy, being as he ran a children's club. After befriending a boy who was always on the shorter side, he would convince him to wear the young pioneer's uniform and be part of a controlled hanging experiment that he said would stretch their spines. He claimed he would revive them, but that was not the case. He took 7 lives this way, although he had done this to far more people, 43 in all. 36 actually were revived. All were filmed and photographed throughout the disturbing so-called experiments, and the footage was developed in Slivka's home laboratory. Slivka was arrested for his actions in 1989, and shortly after had his own life taken as punishment. Good riddance to a horrible person. It's 2008 and 2 friends record themselves playing video games because they're bored and live streaming doesn't exist yet. As they're getting frustrated at Mario and talk trash on each other's skills, they both fail to see a ghostly watcher at the window. At 43 seconds, a pale blue face appears and then fades away. It could be a ghost in the window like they claim, but I think more realistically, it was probably a reflection of one of their friends in the same room as them. It kind of looks like one of their friends is shining a flashlight up at their face to give a spooky effect. Even though this video has been freaking people out for over 12 years now, I think it's most likely staged. On September 24th, 2016, Corey McKeague went missing around the area of Bury St. Edmunds in Suffolk, England. This CCTV footage published in October of 2016 to YouTube by #FindCorey shows the serviceman's last known movements. From one angle, he is seen somewhere meandering down the road, not walking a straight line. He passes 2 men and appears to drop something on the ground, which he quickly picks up before continuing on. Another camera view shows him walking casually around a corner with his hands in his pockets. The town center footage shows McKeague enter a cul-de-sac with wheelie bins in it. This is where he was last seen. His mobile phone was tracked from this cul-de-sac to a landfill. At first, the police weren't planning to search for the missing man there, as the garbage truck along that route was only estimated to be carrying 33 pounds. Later, however, they discovered the weight was around 220 pounds. The €2.1 million investigation has not yet turned up Corey, although authorities believe that the missing man was crushed by a garbage can and that his passed away body is somewhere in the landfill, and some theories suggest foul play, but regardless, his disappearance remains a mystery. The search for Corey McKeague continues. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.